Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is Wednesday, the 20th of October. It is the prodigious, the prominent Professor Johnson at Proclamation News and Gatherence. Flux with a show, flux with a flow, and flux with a news. Thank you all for coming through. I've actually come through. It's a brand new edition. Hopefully, building an audience with an abundance. Absolutely. All different political analysts, people, different, constructive criticism. All welcome on board. Please feel free if you want to jump on board and criticise anything within the media. Critics is what make the media. Absolutely. Let's have a look at the car incidents today. Think first, think safety. Make that change. Do not enter the vehicle under the influence, sleep deprivation, under the influence of alcohol, narcotics. Check your engine oil, water, coolant tank. Make sure it's topped up to maximum level. Check your PSI and your tyre pressure. Make sure you've got plenty sufficient tyre pressure in your tyres. Make sure your tyres are not bowled. Make sure you've got tax, MOT, insurance, and a driving licence before entering the vehicle. Make sure you've got seatbelts on, and babies have seatbelts adapter adjacent to the car seat. Look for further police instructions, signs, road safety signs, workers on the road. Check your centre mirror, wing mirror before turning, acting into a safe, sufficient directional choice. Make sure motorcyclists, pedestrians or vehicles not overtaken as you turn into a safe, sufficient directional choice, or even turn into a lay-by or turning. Always check your centre mirror, wing mirror. Do not eat while at the wheel. Do not be on your mobile phone while at the wheel, and do not smoke because it blurs your vision. All little things you can just, take a key note and think while you're driving. I know you all think, you still do these silly little mistakes. You learn it on your theory, you go on the road, and you make these small little mistakes. I just want to say hello to everyone that's come through so far. Jan, Gillian, Jean, McKinley, Jonathan, Hollow, Brandy, Dookie, John, Boniface, and Torvib. Thank you all so much for coming through to Proclamation News and Gatherence this morning. Like I say, if you've got any constructive criticism or anything you want to bring to the show, please send me a message and we'll go from there. I'll see what I can do, see if I can answer your query. Any alienated parents need a direction, please come through and let me know. If you need help with forms for court, C1, C100, X150, I believe, help with court fees, please send me a message. If you need help, I might be able to talk to you over Skype and help you with the process. Not everyone's computer literate, Some people are not good at writing letters, not formal letters to the court, but I'm not the best, but I can definitely give it a good go. I've got mine in. I've got my court letters through before. Many court letters through the process. It's a long ball game, believe me. You need to be patient. I've got a lot going on in my life at the minute. Sometimes I need that extra helping hand, but I'm here to try and help others in the same situation. Anyone got any consumer goods that it needs to try and tackle? I can also help you do there as well. Anyway, it's moving on to the car instance before we carry away. I'm going a bit of a tangent when I start talking about things. Trying to help you back on your feet. Anyone suffering mental health, need a point in the right direction, I will try my best to help you. Absolutely. In Clacton-on-Sea today. No, this is 13th October. 7 days ago. Still there though. Road closed due to emergency sinkhole repair, West Avenue between Jackson Road and Station Road since last Wednesday. Bear with me. We're going to look at Bury St Edmunds, Suffolk area. A14 lanes blocked due to stalled vehicle and queuing traffic for 1 mile due to stalled vehicle on A14 westbound between junction 44 A134 Bury Eastern Interchange, Morton Hall and junction 43 A134 Compain Way, Bury Central Interchange, Sugar Beet Roundabout. Authorities are still in lane 1. 8:41, this was first reported. Hang on. A406, queuing traffic on A406 North Circle both ways at B106 Brownlow Road, reported at 5:23 a.m. A102, queuing traffic on A102 Blackwall Tunnel approach northbound from A206 Woodridge Road at flyover to Blackwall Tunnel. 5:48 a.m. first reported. A41, lanes closed, gas leak. 1 lane closed due to gas leak on A41 Park Road southbound near the Winter Castle pub. Lane 1 of 2 is closed. Brixton. A3, traffic signal failure, queuing traffic approach with care. Failure on A3 Clapham High Street at B221 Bedford Road, Clapham North Station, approach with care. Just going to have a quick short break, ladies and gents. Just bear with me quickly. We're not going to go off the show. I'm here. I'm always methodical. Would have had shows running, whatever I'm facing in life, whatever disparity I'm facing in life. We're all going to have a competent show to the best I can. Just going to quick short break while I share this car instance.
It's been a month since the Taliban banned girls from secondary schools across most of Afghanistan, and women, except for those in the public health sector, haven't been allowed to return to work. The fear is they're being treated once again as second-class citizens under a hardline Taliban regime. The BBC has now obtained exclusive access to the former Women's Affairs Ministry in the capital, Kabul, that's now been replaced by the feared Taliban Vice and Virtue Ministry. Our correspondent Yogita Limai has sent us this report.
At 17, her life, with all its possibilities, has been shut down. Before the Taliban took over, she would have been preparing for school along with her brother each morning. Now, Afghan girls face the biggest rollback in human rights in recent times.
خیلی بسیار اگه سبب است که ما 11 سال مکتب خواندیم بی‌امنیتی که در چند سال آخر که بی‌خیانیت نبود و ما بسیار مشکلات که باز خانه نمی پدر ما کمایی است و بسیار سختی برای ما خانه کتابچه خریده باز ما در خانه بشینیم.
At the top of her class, she wanted to be a doctor.
صنفی های میادم میایه استاد ما کتابای ما کلی چیز میخواستیم داینده ابتیزی شویم زندگی خدا پیش ببریم کل در گذشته ما و تاریخی ها برگشتیم.
The family lives hand to mouth, and education was their path to a better future. Under an all-male Taliban regime, women are disappearing from public life. They haven't been allowed to return to work yet. Those who've marched to claim back their rights have been beaten. We met one of the protesters who was lashed with electric cables in Kabul.
بنابراین باید یقش رنجی به خدا قربانی کنم. ما واقعا خود در خطر پرتیم چون ما افغانستان در دولت.
Till August, she supported her family of 6. Now she's out of a job.
اما وقت طرف اولادای میبرم بسیار در فرانسه زندگی داره چون آینده اولادم بسیار تاریک و نامعلوم است. و از اینکه خودم استقلالیت خودم ندارم و از اینکه نمیتونم واقعا تحصیل رو که کردم و آرزوها و آرمان‌هایی رو که داشتم.
The Taliban are keen to show they're more moderate than their last time in power. Their actions so far belie the claims. This used to be the Women's Affairs Ministry, which no longer exists under the Taliban government. It's been replaced by the Ministry of Vice and Virtue, which used to be the most feared section of the previous Taliban regime. What future do women have in an Afghanistan ruled by the Taliban? We're here to ask. It's hard to imagine Afghan women journalists would get to question the Taliban like this. Surrounded by their men, I asked the Taliban spokesman when girls could go back to school, women to work.
دا چې هغوی خپله نه ځي موږ خو څوک په زور نه سو راکش کولی چې تاسو مکتب ته لاړ شئ خو موږ کې موږ منع نه ده کړې ما مخکې وویل چې موږ پلان لرو چې په ټول هېواد کې دغه مکتبونه یا ښوونځي د جنکۍ
Your government, your leaders have said that women should not return to work right now because of the security situation. You've said the same thing about girls going to secondary schools. So it's not true that you have allowed them and they are not going.
هغوی په لومړی کې ونه شو کړلی چې دومره زر د جنکۍ ته د مکتب ته تګ لاره برابره کړي بلکې کلونه یې واخیستل نو تاسو ولې په موږ باندې دومره اصرار کوئ چې یوازې یو څو ورځې وروسته موږ وکولی شو چې هغوی ته دا زمینه برابره کړو
How much time don't you think the women and girls in your country deserve to know when they can go back to their education, when they can go back to their jobs?
څومره چې زر موږ کولی شو لار به ورته برابره کړو نور ادارو کې چې دوی حق جوړېږي او د دوی ته ضرورت وي په هغو ټولو ادارو کې به دوی کار کوي
They are the future of Afghanistan.
Taliban not letting their girls back into school. Sorry about that. It's the lady's speaking in English to the Prime Minister of the Taliban government. And he's speaking back in whatever language they speak. Afghanistan, I'm not quite sure. The Prevent scheme, why the government program is so difficult. Killing of MP Sir David Ames has put the Prevent program in spotlight. The government is facing a difficult dilemma over the controversial counter-extremism program called Prevent. News that a suspect held in custody over the killing of MP Sir David Ames had earlier been referred to this scheme as reinforced calls for it to be overhauled and made more robust. What is the point? Some argue in referring people to this 40 million a year program, which aims to stop people becoming terrorists or supporting them, if they may then go on to commit murder. But others argue that hardening it up with more involvement of police and M15 officers will simply scare away the very people who currently agree to take part in its voluntary de-radicalisation course, the Channel scheme. Hugo Macpherson, who has worked in the prevention of terrorism in the UK and Europe for 13 years, says, "It is really important that it remains independent from law enforcement, that it operates in the pre-criminal space. Prevent has always been the most difficult and controversial strand of the government's multi-faced counter-terrorism strategy. Originally set up by Tony Blair's government under the title Contest, it aims to tackle problem upstream by confronting the violent ideology that drives people towards terrorism, steering them away from it before they commit a crime. The other strands are people, by comparison. Pursue is the sharp end. Going after known terrorists, protect is hardening potential targets against an attack, and prepare is the contingency planning for when and if an attack gets through. Prevent has long been criticised by certain Muslim community activists who say it is unfairly demonises and profiles Muslims. And it is not just Muslim figures who resent it. The programme relies on a wide range of people in society, teachers, council workers, NHS employees, to perform their civic duty by reporting individuals suspecting radical opinions or behaviour to the Home Office. This leads to accusation of shopping and surveillance society. A committee decides whether or not to refer that person to the programme, and in the more serious cases to the Channel mentoring scheme. Attendance is not compulsory, and the individual's name and the details are not normally passed to M15. The security service, unless there is a concern at the end of the course, the intervention has failed to steer them away from extremism. In the case of a suspect held in connection with Sir David Death on Friday, Whitehall officials say his name was not any of their watch list. Was this an oversight? Not under the current system, no. So should this now change? And some counter-extremism think tanks are demanding. It is unlikely this would be welcomed by an overstretched M15 that is already coping with over 600 active investigations. The last thing M15 would need is adding 100 more names to its 3,000 plus list of active subjects of interest, taking up considerable resources when most, if not all, of those names may turn out to be harmless. The major criticism currently being levelled at Prevent is that being too soft on potential Islamist radicals. Dr. Rakib Esham, the British Muslim academic with the Henry Jackson Society think tank, says the mismatch in resource between extremist ideologies poses on all too real prospect the Islamist extremists who present a significant security risk not being sufficiently monitored by public authorities. Yet Prevent says its supporters had an unfairly bad press. Under the scheme, says the Home Office, over 1,000 at-risk individuals have been mentored through the Channel programme since 2012, where 100 children safeguarded by the courts were stopped from being taken to convict zones in Iraq and Syria since 2015. One of our successes that the people forget is when a group would be a jihadist in Birmingham went through the programme, changed their minds and deliberately burned their plane tickets to the convict zone, says Hugo McPherson. See, when people talk about these extremists, people get misinterpreted what it actually means. It's not, like it's not the Muslim culture. It's nothing like that. People get on their bandwagon of anexphobia towards these things. They're getting mixed messages from reading the context into a different light when they're reading extremists. There's people that are not following their law. There's people that are breaking the law, being absolute terrorists. They're not a race. They're not a culture. They're just people that are against the law. We've got lunatics like in England as it is in Christianity, in Catholic, born Catholic. There are people that are not following the law no more. That's the difference. It's the way it's read out on the news. It makes it. It's the way you read it on the news. It makes it come out horrific. It's not exactly what it says on the tin. Anyway, Micheal Gove, number 10, commends anti-lockdown protest over confrontation. Micheal Gove surrounded by anti-lockdown protests in central London. Downing Street has condemned a group of demonstrators who confronted Micheal Gove in the street outside his department. Video footage circulating on social media shows housing sector being harangued by anti-lockdown protesters. A number 10 spokesman said, threatening and abusive language cannot be tolerated. It's fair, isn't it? He don't try to do his job, it's not fair. The Metropolitan Police said no arrests were made, but it would be reviewing the footage that has been posted online. Force added that an incident occurred during a protest march. Its officers had been escorting through a minister. A number 10 spokesman said, it is unacceptable for those who disagree to target individuals. Their behaviour is abhorrent. We'd expect the police to take this behaviour seriously. Body-worn video. The Met tweeted, "We are aware of a protest in Westminster today which is marching to a number of locations. During this protest, a group attempted to surround a member of Parliament of Horsery Road. Our officers were immediately on the scene, where they safely escorted him to the nearby building. There were no arrests. We know there is footage circulating online of this incident. We will review this and our officers' body-worn video to see if any officers occurred." Afterwards, Mr. Gove tweeted to thank the Met Police for their swift reaction, adding, "I'm grateful to their officers for their thoughtfulness." The incident comes amid heightened concern over the security of MPs after Conservative MP Sir David Amis was stabbed to death in Essex constituency last week. Home Office review into MP security arrangements launched after his death is due to conclude in the coming days. We've got 3 more segments to get through, ladies and gents. Listen to this. A guy with a psychomotor state is, mate, it's horrific. Essex neo-Nazi team planned to kill Asian friend for sleeping with white chicks. The 18-year-old from Ingatestone had led a right-wing terror cell online to share propaganda and explosive making tips. Matthew Kronjager, 18, from Ingatestone, has been jailed for 11 years and 4 months. A teenage neo-Nazi from Essex who plotted to shoot his Asian friend has been jailed for multiple acts of terrorism. Matthew Kronjager, 18, from Ingatestone, tried to get hold of a 3D printed gun of sawn-off shotgun to kill his target because he slept with white chicks, likening him to a cockroach. Kronjager had set himself up as the leader of the right-wing terror cell, where he had created an online library to share right-wing propaganda and explosive making manuals. His deadly plans were scuppered when an undercover police officer infiltrated a Telegram group, the British Hand. During a trial at Old Bailey in London, Kronjager was found guilty of preparing acts of terrorism and dismantling terrorist publications after admitting 4 charges of processing terror documents on the first day of the trial. He's planning to make that my last Christmas. Yesterday, Tuesday 19th, the 18-year-old was sentenced to 11 years and 4 months in detention. While sentencing him, Judge Mark Lucraft, QC, said it was obvious Kronjager was a bright, intelligent young man, which made his messages all the more troubling. The judge noticed character references from Kronjager's parents and the others who'd known him for many years, but added some of the letters that he posed no threat and where there is no victim. I should simply say that those are the matters that are at odds with the evidence in the messaging in the case and with the victim impact statement. In his statement, Kronjager's victim said that he felt sad, hurt and betrayed by the news. He said, "When I first got told the news by the CT police, I brushed it off, that Matt has just been joking about. The next day when the police come back to see me and said there had not been a mistake and Matt had said those things. And to be honest, at the moment of the realisation, it broke my heart. The strange thing is just the fact that Matt was plotting to kill me and hurt me intentionally. It was the fact that he had been having serious conversations about our future. And when we've been exchanging Christmas greetings, meanwhile in the background, he was planning to make that my last Christmas. That really hurt." The victim was left shimmering with anger towards Kronjager and on the brink of self-harm, the court was told. Defendant wanted a revolution. In mitigation, lawyer Tim Thorpe says Kronjager bitterly regrets the harm he caused and offered an apology. He argued that the young and immature Kronjager could be interrogated into society. The court previously heard how the defendant wanted a revolution based on a fascist beliefs, including hatred on non-white people, Jews, Muslims, and all those with a different sexual orientation to his. He'd offered to lead the UK division on an extreme right-wing group called itself Exile 393, telling members that his time as an army cadet had given him the necessary skills. In November last year, Conjaga suggested setting up a collective PayPal account to buy weapons and other items for the group. In one message he wrote, I was thinking more of having it to buy things like big tents or 3D printer for creating bits of art, said to be code for guns. The court was told that he said he wanted to arm the group by giving them a few months before launching an attack to get over stress of being illegal and being unable to go back from that point. In a further message to undercover officer on December the 13th, Conjaga discussed arranging a drop-off location for the 3D printed guns the court heard, and the supplier needed more money to pay for materials. On the same day, Conjaga formulated his plot to kill his former friend after he told him he slept with the three white men. The defendant told the undercover officer, I found something I want to execute. I know it's no real target, and he's a sand in. I'm not even saying that. He's a sand and the N word that sleeps with a white girl. In fact, I think three of them. I figure we could sit and find a double barrel shotgun and saw it down for three things like this. Conjaga then added, they're like cockroaches, the court heard. When asked in his former friend, you raped the girls, he allegedly replied no, but it's a violation of nature. We're not supposed to mix race. It's not raped by legal definition, but it's kind of like rape, if that makes sense. Violate at least. On the arrest of Essex at home on December 29th last year, police seized a large amount of material demonstrating his commitment to an extreme right-wing cause, jurors heard. He intended to explain his behaviour by claiming the police he was a member of the anti-fascist organisation Antifa. Then it infiltrated various right-wing groups to disrupt and undermine them. By giving evidence, he accepted he had held extreme far-right views, saying he now felt ashamed and disgusted by them. The defendant, whose hobbies included computer gaming, karate, football, cricket, described his teenage years as lonely, isolated, quite depressed and anxious, with his negative feelings starting around the age of 16. Wow, quite some life he's had there, isn't it? Absolutely. We've got one more segment to get through, lad, gents. One more segment. It's got a quick short break.
Good morning. It's Wednesday, the 20th of October. Our main story this morning. Health leaders are demanding the immediate introduction of some coronavirus restrictions in England to avoid stumbling into a winter crisis.
The NHS Confederation says a sharp rise in cases means measures including face coverings in crowded spaces should be implemented. Here's our health editor, Hugh Pinn.
The NHS Confederation says that increases in hospital COVID numbers are worrying, and that with other demands on the service and pressure on staff, health leaders are worried about what might be round the corner. The latest government figures show that week on week, UK COVID cases, deaths and hospital admissions are all rising at a rate of 10% or more, though they remain well below levels seen in January.
What we have seen is that although cases have been gradually moving up in the UK since early August, the last week or so there's been a particular surge in infections. And not only in infections, but we're now seeing hospitalisation data going up, people in respiratory care beds, and also deaths have started to rise, whereas deaths have been pretty flat for most of the last 2 to 3 months.
The NHS Confederation has called on the government to take preemptive action and enact Plan B in England, drawn up by ministers to be implemented if pressure on the NHS becomes unsustainable, with measures including compulsory face coverings in some settings, vaccine passports and more working from home. Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland all currently have tighter restrictions, including mandatory face coverings in some public places. Yesterday, Downing Street said the government was not complacent and there'd been no discussion about moving to Plan B in England, while the key message was the vital importance of the vaccine booster programme. Hugh Pym, BBC News.
Managers running care services in England say staff shortages are so acute they have to make difficult decisions about which patients they can support.
The National Care Forum says it shows the stark reality of the pressure the care system is under. Here's our social affairs correspondent, Alison Holt.
This is vital work, caring for people who are older or disabled, either in a care home like this or in their own home. But it's become so difficult to fill jobs. Care managers say people are working even longer hours and office staff are filling in gaps in the rota. Exhaustion from the pandemic, compulsory jabs in care homes, and better pay being offered in other sectors are all adding to the problems. 340 care managers with more than 21,000 staff responded to questions from organisations representing them. They had an average of 17% of jobs vacant. More than 2/3 had stopped or limited some services, including saying no to taking patients from hospital. It's estimated together they've turned down nearly 5,000 requests for help since September the 1st.
I think all of us across the sector, including myself and many others of my peers, are really seriously concerned because we can't see any end in sight, I guess, to the current situation. You know, the situation is getting progressively worse month on month with no end in sight. And I think with winter coming and all the additional pressures that are placed on staffing under normal circumstances throughout the winter, you know, it really is a great cause for concern. And we're seeing every single day people saying, you know, I just can't do this anymore and I'm leaving social care.
The government says it is putting more money into the care system, including investing in training and regular recruitment campaigns for staff. Alison Holt, BBC News.
4 people have been arrested in connection with a gas explosion at a house in Hisham in Lancashire, which killed a toddler.
2-year-old George Hines died when the blast ripped through his house in May this year. His parents were also injured, but they survived. A man and a woman have been arrested on suspicion of manslaughter, along with 2 other men. All 4 have been released on bail.
It's a month since a volcano on one of Spain's Canary Islands erupted, forcing thousands of people to leave their homes.
Lava is still spewing on La Palma, with close to 2,000 buildings destroyed, and now experts say they have no idea when the eruptions will end. Our correspondent Dan Johnson has sent this report.
It still has the capacity to attract and enthrall, but after a month, it's become an overbearing backdrop to much of life here. An incredible spectacle with its own mundane chores. Ryan does this once a week.
Quizá no te afecte directamente a ti.
Maybe it doesn't affect you directly, he says, but a family member or someone you know.
I want it to end. It's not too worrying for me, but it is for my family. And in the meanwhile, we just have to live with it.
They have this kind of strong mentality that they say it doesn't matter what comes, we go through it and pa adelante, going forward.
Lucas isn't going forward. This is what happened to the house he lived in for 60 years. His wife, Nieves, can't bear to watch.
I cannot put into words. Losing the house my father built, which should have been for my children and grandchildren. It's a miracle we have this flat because I know people sleeping in cars, in tents and caravans.
There's no sign of this eruption easing at all. In fact, if anything, the volcano only gets more active. And it's actually grown over the weeks as the layers of lava have built up and hardened. But there's still fresh lava pouring down the hillsides too, destroying more farmland, homes and villages. And there are new fires breaking out all the time. There are amazing survival stories. These dogs have been fed by drone for 4 weeks. And now there's an attempt to use one to rescue them. But there's little hope for the homes still in the way of the lava. And the longer it flows, the further it reaches, smothering more of this island. Dan Johnson, BBC News, La Palma.
At least 46 people have died as a result of 2 days of flooding triggered by heavy rain in northern India.
Images, videos from the state show flooded roads, submerged homes, fallen bridges as well. Floods have also hit the southern state of Kerala, where at least 26 people have died in recent days.
Now, the man behind popular film songs like Goldfinger and Willy Wonka has died at the age of 90.
Leslie Brickus had a wide-ranging career writing hits for numerous musicals and films. Tim Allman has this report.
There is no life I know to compare with pure imagination.
You may not know the name, but you'll definitely know his songs. Leslie Brickus, as lyricist and composer, was behind some of the most well-known and most beloved film music of the last 60 years. Confirming his death on social media, his friend, the actress Dame Joan Collins, said, "One of the giant songwriters of our time has sadly died. I will miss him terribly." Sentiments echoed by singer Elaine Page, who tweeted, "She was shocked and saddened by the news, describing him as one of our great songwriters." And Nancy Sinatra said, "My heart is aching today because one of the loves of my life is gone." Leslie Brickus was born in London in 1931. In a career spanning more than 7 decades, he co-wrote the theme to 2 James Bond films, won 2 Oscars and a Grammy, and was involved in the writing of more than 1,000 songs. In his memoir, he said he was one of the luckiest people he knew.
I'm going to leave that there, ladies. I'm going to wrap this show up shortly. We've got last segment of the day. Just want to say thank you. I'm so overwhelmed. People coming through. If you're staying, both preserved and observed, you're part of the Aristocracy Social Elite. You are welcome for constructive criticism. You listeners, if you'd like to hear something a bit more of a public interest, talk about different things in society, like criminology, maybe something to family law disputes. It's a hard one, family law disputes. If you're in that situation as an alienated parent yourself or know someone, it's quite heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to say the courts is just laid back. You can't get medical staff, you can't get legislators in court. This COVID's taken its toll on everyone. It's literally taking its toll on everyone, everyone's families. My family, your family, everyone's families. I am feeling rather distraught myself, but I'm trying to keep positive, keeping methodical. That's the main thing, moving forward, trying to stay positive, trying to get more people on board. Hopefully we can relate, help each other through this great deprived depression that we're all suffering through the COVID, getting back to normality. This is what I want to do, so I've got to stay positive. I've got to stay with the PMA, positive mental attitude. Absolutely. Like I say, constructive criticism is always important. Anyway, here we go. Facebook is planning to rebrand the company with new name to reflect the firm's shift to building a metaverse, it has been reported. According to The Verge, the announcement could be made during Facebook's Connect conference on October the 28th. The social network founder, Mark Zuckerberg, is said to be keen to signal the company's intent to move beyond just social media and the controversies that have been faced the platform in that area. Earlier this year, Mr. Zuckerberg said Facebook would transition from a social media company to being a metaverse company over the next several years. The metaverse is in the essence of the internet in 3D, an online world in which people can meet, play and work virtually, often using virtual reality headsets. Speaking in July, Mr. Zuckerberg described it as a place where, rather than just the viewing content, you are in it. And as an early example, has used the idea of people watching a concert video on their smartphone, but then jumping in it using their metaverse to create a sense that they are really there. Facebook has already announced plans to hire 10,000 new staff in Europe to help build the metaverse. According to reports, the rebrand could see a new parent company created with Facebook and other services like WhatsApp, Instagram, and virtual reality. The firm Oculus sitting underneath it. It has been suggested the move could help separate work on the metaverse from its scrutiny Facebook continues to face over its social media platforms currently operate. With campaigners and politicians in the UK, Europe, and US are all regularly placing the firm under the microscope. Change would not be the first time the big name technology brand has pivoted as its work changed. In 2015, Google created a new parent company called Alphabet as a way of highlighting it was no longer just a search engine, but a broad range of different companies. Working on smartphones, driverless cars, and other technology. 2016, Snapchat also renamed itself Snap included and expanded from being a photo sharing app to calling itself a camera company. It unveiled its first hardware product, the camera housing spectacle glasses. Ladies and gents, I'm going to stay tuned. Actually, I'm going to do a bit of campaigning. You guys can stay tuned. I'm just going to cut